Well, all right. Foul Tips, the weekend edition of the 1420 podcast, back again on this third day of July 2021. Today, we're going to discuss the greatness of Shohei Ohtani, the sticky situation that continues to plague the baseball world. But would you rather about baseball greats? The past, going to discuss the Trevor Bauer situation in LA. I'm going to discuss FanDuel, Beat the Streak, WCBL, all kinds of baseball news here on the weekend edition of the 1420 podcast. So without any further ado, let's get into her. I haven't said that in a few weeks, but anyways, this Trevor Bauer situation that they got themselves with the LA Dodgers, not going to get into the details of the whole thing, but it's a sexual assault situation, which is never a good thing. It's pure allegations thus far. There's how it's just allegations when there's pictures of the girl and there's text messages that were exchanged and everything else. I guess it's when you got I don't know, $300 or $400 million coming to you, you can avoid the law a little bit and you get the best lawyers working after for you that Bauer does. There's a New York attorney, former prosecutor Matthew Galazzo, I think his name was. He said if Bauer wasn't a $102 million guy with the contract that he has with the Dodgers, he'd be in jail for sure. I mean, that's speculation that I don't know enough about, but what do the Dodgers do at this point? I don't think, even though, like I said, it is an allegation at this point, I don't think this guy should ever pitch for the Dodgers ever again, let alone anybody else in the big leagues. How he can possibly show his face with what he did to this woman. She does have some black eyes, especially. Apparently there is, it was consensual to a point, went to a whole new level. But my problem is I've been in some locker rooms in the sports world. There's no way a teammate could not say something about this, whether it's factual or non-factual, whatever it is. There's no way it wouldn't be a situation in the locker room between teammates. And then you have the media who's going to be talking about it. Then you're going to have the fans who are going to be talking about it. There's no way that Trevor Bauer is going to go unscathed in this situation, whether it was consensual or not. It was taken to a whole nother level. And from what I've read, the facts are there. This guy's a perennial mouthpiece. He doesn't know when to get out of his own way. He talks too much. He thinks he's above the rules of the world and the rules of the baseball world. And the way he's just so flippant about how he goes about his own business. He thinks he's above everybody else. I guess you're going to have a bit of a different attitude per se to get to that level and to be that way. But there's many people who have been great athletes who've never done anything quite like this. Like, hey man, whatever you're into. And if there's somebody, female, male, or whatever you're into behind closed doors is your business. But if you start hurting other people, that becomes other people's business. And now that you've done this and you've proven how much of a jackass you are in other facets of life throughout the last how many years, whether it be about baseball and about he was part of the sticky situation with the spider tack and everything else. He's been a mouthpiece towards baseball, towards the Dodgers. Even just this week after these allegations comes out, he comes out with a selfie stick and taking pictures and kind of making a mockery of the whole thing. I'm not a fan of the guy even before these sexual allegations came out, and that makes him even less. I'm even less a fan of the guy. Great pitcher, yeah. He won a Cy Young, but it was in the National League Central last year, which is the worst division in baseball. I'm not taking away Cy Young from the guy, but let's face facts with facts. He's not that division wasn't great. He had a great year in a division that wasn't great. So let's not make this guy the next Cy Young or the next Nolan Ryan or whoever, Greg Maddux or whatever great pitcher you want to talk about in the past. But with what came out this week, this guy's got to be put on notice that he's not welcome in the baseball world anymore. I don't think he should ever pitch the Dodgers again. I think he put the teams that didn't sign him over the summer or the winter, like the Mets for one, I think they're thanking their lucky stars right now that they didn't go out and sign this guy, because who knows what else happened throughout, what else is going on. This allegation is already 6 weeks old. How it didn't get out earlier, I don't know. But this guy's been walking around and flapping his gums for 6 weeks, not knowing that this was out there. and he thinks he's above the law. And I don't think he should ever pitch in baseball ever again. Baseball is allowed to make a decision. They did make a decision to put him on a leave with pay for the next 7 days while they do an investigation. See, baseball can come out and they can suspend this guy even without any more criminal activity. They did it with Domingo Germán of the Yankees. They stepped in before the law did. And I think baseball has no choice but to do this with this guy and with what he did. You should never lay your hand on a woman, whether parts of it are consensual or not, whether it was taken a whole nother level or not. Like I said, what you do behind closed doors is your business. This isn't right. This guy should not be allowed to play baseball ever again with what he's done. The woman sought a restraining order against him, so she felt she was in danger after the fact. So there's a lot more to the story that came out. This guy wasn't making $40 million this year alone. Whatever he's made in the past, he'd be in jail for sure. There's no lawyer that would back this guy. The backlash he's going to get from Dodger fans isn't worth the Dodgers' headache, in my opinion. They should not just cut ties with this guy no matter what. Wins aren't that important where you're half the population is female, and there shouldn't be any females behind this. Goes back to the Me Too thing, and there shouldn't be any males behind this. It's a bad situation the Dodgers can avoid. Cut ties this guy, because you know what? There's lots of pitchers out there. There's lots of guys out there who won't give you the trouble that Trevor Bauer already has given you, and it ain't worth the backlash. Being an ideal franchise as the Dodgers have been over years, they're a model franchise on the West Coast, in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, blah blah, the rest of it. He wouldn't play on my team. There's no getting this. And to go into a locker room, there's going to be a lot of backlash and a lot of guys, for lack of a better term, not making fun of, but questioning this guy's antics. And they're going to be put under a situation where, well, this guy's on your team. Do you back him? There can't be a single person out there that's going to back this guy for what has occurred. His parents shouldn't even back him. This is a despicable situation. Yes, it hasn't been proven by the law yet, but the backlash you're going to get regardless. Now, hopefully, let's go counterpoint for a second here. Let's just say that maybe there's photograph proof. Let's take it. So let's forget the Bauer situation for a second here. Let's just say, for the sake of conversation on this podcast or on any podcast, or that there's a woman out there who's a Padres fan. And I'm not talking Trevor Bauer. Let's just say she's such a fan that she's going to make some allegations against the Dodgers in the playoffs, which they're two NL West powerhouses. The cops have to do their due diligence, of course, before they can just charge a guy and get it out there. Because let's say this guy's scheduled to start game 2 of the NLDS or whatever it is, or the NLCS, I guess it would have to be, and they just automatically charge out there and they get rid of this guy. So there is some due diligence that has to get done by the law prior to them just suspending players, because there has been in the past, a lot of players have been wrongfully accused of things. It has come out, not a lot, but there has been some where players do get accused of things and it comes out to be false, whether it be a crazy fan from another team that makes these allegations so their team can gain the upper hand. I'm not saying that the Bauer situation is there. Let's make that very clear. I'm not saying that Trevor Bauer is innocent, because there is photograph proof of what went on and text message exchange that he did these things. Whether it's consensual or not is another thing. Anyways, that's my opinion. The Dodgers and baseball should ban this guy. He should not be allowed to play. Maybe a couple of years suspension, let him come back. I don't know, but because you can't, you don't change a whole bunch over your years. Who you are at a certain age is who you are. But there are some things that are unforgivable. That's my opinion. That's what we put them on the podcast, 1420 podcast, and foul tips, the weekend edition of the podcast. Put an interesting question up this morning. We'll discuss that a bit, but we'll talk about the Ricky Award as well later on in the show. It's getting some good traction. We got some really good things that are happening on the Twitter accounts at Foul Tips is this podcast. Then we have the 1420 podcast, sports_20. We also have the award at award_Rick. And we also have, there's so many things going on. But anyways, 1420 podcast, wherever we get your podcasts, and make sure you tell people about the show. There's not many good things when a rainout occurs in a game of baseball, but the Yankees and Mets were rained out last night. So that meant the Yankees couldn't lose last night. I'm not going to cry wolf or cry about this anymore. Not wolf, but cry about this anymore. The Yankees stink. And they're losing again to the Mets. They were getting no hit till the bottom of the whatever inning. And Judge hit a home run to break it the no hitter. But they stink. And I haven't went looking for the Yankees yet this week. It was on. I went to Mom's this morning, did some lawn work and helped out around the homeland there. They're on. I'm not tuning in. Whatever. They stink. The season's gone. Anyways, let's get into some other baseball news. The sticky situation with baseball. They got their first guy, Hector Santiago from the Seattle Mariners. He got busted last week for having a foreign substance on his glove, I believe. And then the forensic scientists of the Major League Baseball, otherwise known as the umpires, confiscated his glove, took it, put it in a plastic bag, sending it to New York. This won't hold up in a court of law. The tampering that can be done, or that they'll say will be done between Seattle and New York, the thing not being hermetically sealed for your protection, blah, blah, blah. This ain't going to hold up. Baseball's just tripping on themselves again. Perennial douchebag as well. Josh Donaldson, the president of the Josh Donaldson fan club, he was flapping his yap around the bases this week after hitting a home run against the Chicago White Sox, Lucas Giolito. Giolito's a all-time, like he's not an all-time, he's one of the elite pitchers in baseball right now. And Donaldson hit the home run, and as he's rounding the bases, flapping his yip about no sticky stuff in the baseball. Donaldson, you should shut your yap. Your Minnesota Twins are in last place, and you stink. You're a terrible baseball team. The White Sox are in first place, so that's basically what Giolito said. Like, well, he'll take his first place and the win anyways that night. Should just shut up. Why baseball didn't have this rule in effect at the beginning of the season? They knew there was a problem. They were taking baseballs out of games to get checked. What was being on the ball? What was being used? They knew there was a problem. Obviously, if they were going to those lengths to investigate, why didn't they have this rule to begin with? And if you get caught with something beginning of the year, why change it halfway through? It's like changing a whole different set of rules. No infield fly all of a sudden. Or they're changing the distance between bases. Like, well, this isn't working for us. If they knew there was a problem, why didn't they come up with a solution to it prior to the season starting, prior to spring training starting? Say, okay, here's a substance we're going to allow you to use. There's rosin and sunscreen, or rosin and this, or something that you can use this. So all the pitchers have an opportunity to use the exact same thing if they want to use it. If they don't want to use it, all the power to you. Why baseball decided halfway through the season to change what the rules were is beyond. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I can't even compare it to something else. Or if the NHL said, well, let's change the icing rule halfway through the season. They did change it beginning of the season a few years back with had to be a certain line in a certain place and a lot of hash marks, and the defenseman beat them. So to get rid of that, those awful collisions behind the net or behind the goal line into the boards where defensemen were basically helpless. But baseball knew there was a problem, didn't change it till now. You have Rays pitcher, what was his name? Tyler Glasnow. He blames his injury not being able to use a grip substance. Garrett Cole has been terrible, even at just a major league level. Not to his standards, obviously, but he's been terrible since the sticky stuff hasn't been able to be used. Don't know if he was using it. You hope the Yankees were doing a little bit of investigating before they gave him $300 million contract, what was going on. Chapman's been awful for about 12 games now with the Yankees. Was he using sticky stuff and he can't control it because his fastball has been the problem? And if his fastball's not working, he's called the Cuban Missile for a reason. Well, shooting guns in his garage probably helps that nickname a little bit too. But if his fastball's got no control because he's got no grip, then his changeup has to be the pitch. And if you're sitting on the changeup, you're sitting on the slider, things can happen. You're throwing 102, 103, no one's hitting that. But if the fastball's out of control because of no sticky stuff, might be a thing. You think the Yankees, they're probably as guilty as anybody in this situation with the pitchers using foreign substances. I'm not. It's an odd situation that baseball has known about for a long time. Why they decided to change it now, I don't know. They're like I said, I think they're trying to pit the pitchers against the hitters for the upcoming labor battle they're going to have. We talked about that a few weeks ago, but it ain't good. It isn't good how baseball tripping themselves. Why they can't come up with a solution for pitchers to have some kind of substance be able to use. I heard Tom Glavine last week, I think it was, he said he would just some good bubble gum, and some spit on his fingers, lick his tongue, or lick his tongue. What? Can you lick your tongue? Blew that one. So you lick his fingers, the gum, the sugar, the substance. That's what he said he used when he played. Maybe that's all it would take. These guys go to extra levels. Batters are allowed to use pine tar for better grip. So why can't a pitcher use something for better grip as well? We talked about it in the past. I don't know. Baseball, they find a way to trip on themselves all the time. Anyways, we'll discuss that ad nauseum. We can talk about that forever and ever. Anyways, the Rick Award, the voting's ongoing. Started, I think, on Wednesday night. We put this up there, or Wednesday afternoon or something. We got Fernando Tatis Jr. with 55% of the vote. Wander Franco from the Tampa Bay Rays with 11%, and Aaron Nola with his 10 strikeout in a row performance last weekend with 33% of the vote. So Tatis Jr., Wander Franco, and Aaron Nola. It's at award_Rick on Twitter. I'll find a way to get it up on the Facebook account as well, so you guys can get your votes in on there. Participate. We got some different people following that account now. A lot of Ricky Henderson fans, so Oakland A's fans, and everything else. So make sure you guys follow us at award_Rick and Foul Tips, and also at the main Twitter account, the 1420 Sports Twitter account at sports_20. Thanks for listening, everybody. I know you got lots to do in the summertime. Things are opened up, and there's your entertainment gets spread pretty thin. There's so much to do, and now that everything's opening up. But we appreciate everybody who listens to the show, whether it be me by myself, flap my gums, or with Dave during the week. And once in a while, Jim, the sound guy, joins us. We have the trivia shows and all kinds of things coming up that we have planned, more so for the in the fall. But let's get through the summer and have some fun. Because we enjoy doing this, or I enjoy doing it anyways. Usually on the weekend edition of the 1420 podcast or Foul Tips, you usually have a top 5 list. Don't have that this week. Got a lot going on. Busy guy. Having some fun and umpiring some baseball. Get that in a little bit. But usually do a who's hot and who's not. But we'll do a who's not. We'll talk about this Shohei Ohtani. Hit his 30th home run last night. Got 2 last night. Man, is this guy an athlete. He's got 10 stolen bases as well. He's only 1 home run away from topping Hideki Matsui's home run record for Japanese player at 31. That's a full season. Ohtani's already at 30. We forget this guy also pitches. He had a bit of a rough outing against the Yankees the other night. The Yankees are blowing the game in the ninth because Chapman stinks and the Yankees stink. And I guess you guys know how I feel about the Yankees. But anyways, Ohtani, this guy's something else. I went up for some adult beverages with some friends last night, and we got talking about this guy. And if this is going to be a regular thing, you might see some more guys that are athletes playing position players or pitchers, becoming hitters as well, and being more of a ball players as they grew up, or as if players are so one-dimensional nowadays. You got guys who don't even know how to run the bases in baseball, so maybe it can't be done. But you got guys who are very one-dimensional. They can only hit. Some guys can play defense. Some guys can only pitch. And it's kind of weird to me. We talked about this in the past on the podcast, that most guys who are really good pitchers on their little league team or their high school team or whatever it is, they're usually really good hitters as well, and because they're athletes, right? And usually the best athletes go on professional sports, and they're athletes. That's kind of how it works. It's not very often where a guy can pitch in little league and he can't hit. It's just, maybe it's different now, but when I was a kid, which was a long time ago, maybe it's a lot different now, but it just seems odd to me. I remember this a long time ago. I can't remember if we talked about it on the show before. If we did, I'll bring it up again. But there was a kid by the name of Jeremy Bonderman. He got drafted rather high, pitched for Pasco, Washington, I think it was, or wherever, Kennewick or something. Through 95 when he was 17 years old, high draft pick, had to make some money, had a decent career. Injuries that usually happen with arms wearing out, but the kid could hit too. And I remember him coming up to plate, swinging at pitch that were out of the zone, and hitting them really far anyways. And I kind of questioned, why did you swing at that, man? He goes, listen, man, I'm gonna be a pitcher. I don't care. And so he hit for power, but they're athletes for some reason in baseball. They get, especially if you're a pitcher, you get told just to pitch. And I don't, this Ohtani thing, it might open up some eyes to some parents and some scouts and everything else. Maybe we should have our best athletes be the best athletes and get out there and do it. Because if they can do what Ohtani's doing, I mean, it's a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, we talk about Babe Ruth. This guy's better than Babe Ruth was, obviously. I shouldn't have said that. People are getting some backlash on that, but the athletic prowess that this guy has and the speed he has, and he's a big man. He's got to be 6'4", 6'5", and the way he goes about his business. Yeah, he had a bad outing, but he can pitch, he can hit, and you think it's going to open up other windows. I think it will. I personally think you're going to see a lot of baseball teams and scouts say, "Hey, we got some athletes on our hand. We got guys who aren't one-dimensional. We got guys who can do multiple things. Let's utilize this skill. Why not? What have you got to lose? You got guys who can't. You got to stand who can't play the infield anymore because of injuries. What a wreck that is. Why can't that guy grab a glove, nut up for his team, and not change the way the Yankees play? I don't know. And you go the other side. Like Stanton gets days off from being a DH, swinging the bat 4 times. You got Ohtani, who's out there every day, plus pitching. Like this guy's unbelievable. And the numbers he's putting together, this guy he's making people watch. Think about this. He's making people watch the LA Angels more than Mike Trout ever did. Trout's been MVP, and the numbers are compared to Mantle and his WAR and this and la. I never once tuned in to watch Mike Trout play. I'm tuning into Ohtani. This guy's changing the way the game is played, and I think it's great for baseball, the way it's going to be marketed. And then having him be from Japan can only help baseball for sure, because they got a big baseball's so huge over there. It can't anything but help baseball to have a guy like this doing this. I hope that they realize that these athletes need to be showcased and need to be able to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Like you wouldn't have your best player in Little League not swing the bat. You wouldn't. So why they do it in the big leagues, I have no idea. If they're athletes, let them be athletes. It doesn't make sense. Like DeGrom can hit, he can pitch. Why not? Why not let him play? Let him play. I think it's great for baseball. What's happening? You know what else is great for baseball? Maybe not great for the way, I don't know if the uncut version or the cut version, but I tuned into a great baseball movie. It was on last Sunday. The original Bad News Bears with Walter Matthau in 1976. I remember watching it a few years back, or it might have been on YouTube clips or something. Tanner Boyle, he said some pretty spicy stuff that I'm pretty sure wouldn't be allowed on network television or in the movie theaters nowadays, that was allowed back then. Some racial stuff that was, it's a funny how the way time is, how things have changed in the last 45 years. That the stuff that old Tanner Boyle was saying, that Jesus, humorous, yeah, wrong, yeah, but take it for what it was worth. But that's a great baseball movie. Kelly Leak and smoking cigarettes and drinking beers and just bad arcade dude, like he was table hockey and the rest are air hockey, I guess. And Amanda Tatum O'Neill, the way she could pitch, and Engelbert, big fat catcher. If you haven't ever seen it, look it up and find it. It's a great movie. It's a great baseball movie. The Bad News Bears didn't win. It's the Bad News Bears 2 Break in Training, where they play in the Houston Astrodome. Make sure you guys watch those if you're a baseball fan, or even if not, watch those movies. They're great. It's a little bit on the risque side, I guess, now compared to what we're used to nowadays. But make sure you give that a watch, because it's a great Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon watch or whatever. Put a smile on my face and brought some memories back from when I was a kid. The Bad News Bears for sure. I never watched the Billy Bob Thornton one. That was maybe 10 years ago now, I guess. There's no way it could do any justice for the original. But like I said, have a watch to the Bad News Bears. Also, I got away from it a little bit, but to beat the streak, I got up to 10 at one point. The highest thing I ever got was 14. I don't know if you're familiar with Beat the Streak. It's an app put on MLB. You try to get to 56, which was DiMaggio's record. And if you get past that, $1 million up for grab. Yeah, I think 15 is my record. I try not to pick the same player twice while I'm still going, but picking Ohtani or Tatis Jr., who's doing unbelievable things at the plate. Make sure you guys try to beat the streak. It's free. You just sign up, MLB.com or MLB app or whatever it is. Play it. It's easy. You pick a player. If you win, great. Go on to 2 and 3 and 4. If not, you go back to 0. It's a fun little game to play. MLB Beat the Streak. Give it a shot. It's easy. It's simple. You don't even got to really watch baseball. You pick a player and just hope for the best. Looks like Team Ukraine is their miracle run is coming to an end now. They're losing 74th minute to England 4-0. Going to be tough to come back from that kind of a deficit. So Team Ukraine got the Redlinski eyeballs watching the games and everything else, but they're going to be done today shortly with the 4-0 defeat, or might even get worse at this point. But she was a good run, and it was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to talk about. Anyways, fortunate enough in the last few weeks since baseball and things started opening up here in Alberta, WCBL got going again. I was fortunate enough to do the home opener. We talked about this in the past. Dave was there with his family. Done 3 games so far out in the field, 2 behind home plate, and I was working with some old friends. Ronnie Shuchuk was out in the field there last week with me, and we had a few laughs at things we talked about in the past. Ron knows my family from Manitoba much better than I do. He's been around them. He's from Minnesota, and it was good to catch up with Ron. Being out in the field again, it's been great. Right from the minute you get to the ball field and you get in the dressing room, you rub up baseballs with the Mississippi mud. It's just such a fun time getting out in the field and you're conversing with people, and a lot of laughs are had. The game is so much fun, and just the conversation you can have with managers and coaches and the players and fans alike. And it's a lot of fun just being out there and seeing the smile on people's face, and kids chasing foul balls, or when you give a kid a ball after the game, the way their eyes light up, that's like they're given a solid gold bar. There's something about getting to baseball, seeing kids run around the other night at the game and getting the ball to them just brings a smile to my eye. And having some beers in the stands on, like I did a couple. I'm going to go to the game tonight in Lethbridge here, Lethbridge playing Edmonton. Just going to observe from the stands and sit back and relax, just watch a game. There's nothing quite like it. The atmosphere around the ballpark has been quite great since things have opened up here in Lethbridge and throughout Alberta, throughout Canada. Now things are getting going here. I hope for one day get down to a major league park and be able to do that, because it's what's my favorite thing. We talked about it in the past. It's one of my favorite things. Another fun thing, we tried it last year. The Nathan's Coney Island, the National Hot Dog Eating Competition, 4th of July down in the States tomorrow. Well, it's 4th of July everywhere, but they're 4th of July celebrations, I guess. It's the 4th of July, it's 4th of July no matter where you are. But the celebrations for Independence Day down in the States, Joey Chestnut. Last year, me and the producer, Deanne, were at my house in Medicine Hat. We got the great idea to give it a shot to see how many hot dogs we could do in a 10-minute span. I knew we weren't going to beat Joey Chestnut's record of 76 or whatever it was, some grotesque number. If you haven't watched it, make sure you give it a watch. It's quite gross, just how he inhales hot dogs, dips them in water. It's disgusting. I thought I could do 10. I didn't think there was no way I couldn't do 1 a minute. I think I got to 3.5 or 4, and that was it. It's gross, but might give it a shot again tomorrow. Mom's coming over for a barbecue. I'm not going to expect her to do it. Maybe we'll give it a shot tomorrow night, and I'll see how many hot dogs I can pile in my head to do the Joey Chestnut thing. But it's gross. It is. But anyways, it's fun to watch. Coney Island's one of my favorite places to be. I've been 3 or 4 times down there and riding the Cyclone roller coaster and everything else. It's if you get a chance to go down to Coney Island, it's a different world from Manhattan. It's about an hour subway ride, but it's well worth the trip. Mike, sorry for clicking my pen again today. I did that a couple times. But anyways, make sure you guys listen to the 1420 podcast. Foul tips on the weekend. It's a lot of fun putting these shows out for you. I know, like I said earlier on, you got a lot of stuff going on in the summertime, but make us part of your regular thing. List some old shows, or if you have any ideas of what you want us to talk about for some new shows, let us know. 1420sports@gmail.com. We're on every social media account, wherever you get your podcasts. Spread the good word of the show. We also got some hats and t-shirts for sale still. If you want one, just get a hold of me. Helps promote the show. And I like seeing when a person I don't know, I know when people that I do know are wearing a hat. Okay, I know that person, but when people I don't know are wearing a hat or a t-shirt, puts a smile on my face knowing that people are listening to the show. There's no way we could do this whole thing without you guys. We'll keep putting it out there as long as you guys keep listening. 1420 podcast. Take care of each other. More importantly, take care of yourself. We need you around. Keep your stick on the ice because it's a baseball show. Don't swing at the high ones. We will talk to you guys again on Monday. Have a good weekend, folks, and enjoy the show.